right. Hey, thank you all for stopping in at Brian for Liberty. I appreciate it. And if you would, please take 1 second to subscribe. Just hit the button and turn on the notifications so you'll find out when new videos are coming out. Today we're going to be going over a couple of different things, and as always, we're going to be talking about COVID-19. Like I said, I'm trying to not refer to it as coronavirus because it is COVID-19. The coronavirus is not descriptive. It's not the right thing. We hear that phrase a lot, but it's COVID-19. It is one of many coronaviruses. So we're going to talk about COVID-19, and we're going to talk about the madness that is taking grip in this country. And I'm going to use a phrase that is really, it's a military phrase, and it's called mission creep. And I'm going to use that phrase because I believe that that's what's happening. I believe that that's a big part of why there's so much anger between the people who want to reopen the economy and the people who think we need to maintain the shutdown. There's a lot going on out there, but the biggest problem is, and the reason that I believe mission creep is the right way to describe this, is it seems like we have moved from the initial goal of slowing the spread of this sickness to somehow thinking we're going to prevent people from getting it, and that if we wait in our houses long enough, it'll just go away. This is a virus. It's not a tornado. You can't cower in your basement and hope that it passes by. It's going to be there. It's going to be there when you come out of your home. It's going to be there when, if we open the economy up in a week, if we open it up in 2 weeks, a month, it's going to be there. The goal was to not overwhelm our healthcare system. That is what we were told the reason for all these shutdowns and all this was. So what I don't understand is how we've gone to this, we're getting into these conversations where the people who want to open the economy, the people who want to go back to work are being accused of putting people's lives at risk as if people were not going to get the sickness. People are going to get the sickness. It is a virus. It's not going away. So we don't have herd immunity. We don't have a vaccine. So when the economy opens back up, it's going to start spreading. We're going to see a spike. It's going to happen. And I feel like I know where the conversation is going to go is that, oh, we reopened too soon and now there's a spike, and see, we should have stayed on lockdown. It doesn't matter when we open. There's going to be a spike at some point as people start interacting with each other, and you can't keep the economy closed. You can't keep this up for 12 months, 18 months. We can't wait for a vaccine. The economy will absolutely be destroyed, and you're going to have poverty, and you're going to have starvation, and all the things that come with, economic turmoil, which is drug abuse, which is suicides, which is hunger. And we have to get the economy moving again, and we have to start recognizing what the actual goal is. So the protesters, on the other hand, they're not doing themselves any favors, and I don't think they're making a lot of friends. The goal is to convince people that we need to reopen the economy. We need to do so in a responsible manner. You guys aren't doing a great job going down there, no masks, no gloves, no social distancing, carrying guns for some reason, as if this is some kind of revolution. I don't get the point of putting on the camo gear and carrying guns around. That's a strange flex. We're talking about reopening the economy, and you're chasing away people who may be allies to your position by putting on this demonstration that really doesn't have anything to do with the sickness itself. And by behaving so irresponsibly, you're making the case that the economy needs to stay closed, because obviously we can't trust you to go out in public and to maintain social distancing and to make sure that the spread doesn't rapidly increase. As we see the spike happen, we need to still maintain a level of increase in sickness that allows our healthcare system to keep up with it. If you guys can't protest responsibly, how can you be trusted to function in the economy responsibly? So you're not helping the cause either, and it's become such a polarizing issue that we really are, like I said, we are not focusing on what the initial goal was, which was not to make coronavirus go away or COVID-19 go away, but to slow the spread. So here I'm going to share some videos and some of the conversation that's taking place out there. And this first one is Trevor Noah and Elon Musk were talking about the shutdown and the lockdown, and just take a listen to this. Is really encapsulates kind of what the conversation is in the United States right now. So take a look.
We're going on 6 weeks of lockdown, and it's clearly starting to wear on some people's nerves. People like Elon Musk. But last night, he pushed the button for insane mode.
The extension of the shelter-in-place, or frankly, I would call it forcibly imprisoning people in their homes, against all their constitutional rights. That, in my opinion, breaking people's freedoms in ways that are horrible and wrong, and not why people came to America or built this country. What the excuse me. But to say that they cannot leave their house and they will be arrested if they do, this is fascist. Give people back their goddamn freedom.
Yes, Elon, finally, someone has decided to call out this fascist American government that's asking people to please stay in their houses to try and save their own lives. I mean,
so what you're seeing here is we have to understand that the truth of this lies somewhere in between these two people, right? Trevor Noah is minimizing this by saying, "Oh, I can't go to H&M," or people are being asked to stay in their house to save their own lives, and kind of skirting over the fact that police are breaking up baby showers. Mothers are being arrested for playing with their kids in a park, for Pete's sake. This has gone drastically too far. There is a stench, I should say, of fascism in this, in the idea that we're going to use force to prevent people from living what is just their day-to-day lives because we have created enough fear that people will allow us to get away with this. This isn't just about being able to leave your house. This isn't just about being able to take a walk. This is about a person who owns a small business, someone who owns a hair salon, being told by the government that they are no longer allowed to earn a living. That is fascism. That Elon Musk isn't out of line by saying that. What he is out of line is by saying that we're all essentially on house arrest and we're not allowed to leave our homes and we're going to get arrested for leaving our house. That's ridiculous too. We haven't gone that far. I went yesterday and I picked up a meal from one of my favorite restaurants. I ran out to Best Buy and bought a new laptop. So, the truth is somewhere in between. I think we have definitely gone too far. But I also don't think that we have gotten we're not also in a place where we can ignore the implications for individual liberty. And the reason that you have this vitriol, this anger, this next clip comes from Robert Wolf, and I think I had a phone ringing here in the background, but this next clip comes from Robert Wolf, and this kind of hyperbole, this talk is what's driving kind of the fear and the anger between the open and stay shut down folks. So take a listen to this.
It is unconscionable to pressure people to choose between going without a job or income on the one hand, or risking their lives and those of their loved ones on the other.
And what you'll see is if you're going to compare going to work as a choice between a paycheck and dying because of COVID-19, that's the issue. That's not the choice that you're making. The overwhelming odds are, if you are not in a risk group, the overwhelming odds are that you are going to be perfectly fine if you catch this sickness. And you are going to catch this sickness. That's the most likely scenario. We don't have herd immunity. We don't have a vaccine. You're probably going to get COVID-19. It's probably going to happen to you. So the idea that you're making a choice between living and dying, a paycheck or your health, it's hyperbolic. It's too much. The odds of dying from this, like I said, are very minimal if you are not in a high-risk group. Go do the research. Don't listen. I'm not an epidemiologist. I'm not a virologist. I'm not a doctor. Go do the research. It's out there for the world to see. The odds of this killing you, if you're not in a high-risk group, or I can't say it enough times, is very minimal. So there's no reason to say, look, if you're going to say that you're choosing between a paycheck and dying because you may be exposed to COVID-19, then you're choosing between a paycheck and dying because you got in your car. Life has risk. We have to understand the fact that we don't live in a risk-free world, and we're never going to create a risk-free world. That is where we live. That is the reality of our situation. So we have to understand that so that we can proceed rationally and make proper mitigations to risk in line with economic impact. And that's just the reality of the world we live in. Every day we make choices. Every day we take risks. Every day you risk being exposed to pneumonia, to the flu. to car accidents, to all kinds of things. We live in a world with risk, and we have to look at that risk, assess it properly, and take the right steps. And I think we've gone just way too far. If you want to take a look, here is someone who gets it.
Sooner or later I will get corona, I think. So
You've accepted that that will happen.
yeah.
And in the meantime, it's important to look good.
Yeah, you're right.
So Sweden obviously did not lock down. And at the end of the day, like I said, you're eventually going to get it. This isn't like a tornado we're trying to wait out. It is something that you're going to end up getting. People at risk need to shelter in place. Maybe the people who care for them need to shelter in place. But people outside those categories need to be able to go and get about their business. They need to be able to go back to work. They need to be able to live their lives. And so here, take a look at this.
Anders Tegnell is the state epidemiologist driving the policies here. He claims success in flattening the curve and keeping serious cases within hospital capacity. And he says it's a good thing. His agency estimates 26% of Stockholm's population has now been infected.
And this person is an expert in this field. And I think, as often happens, whether it's climate change, whether it's abortion, no matter what the conversation is, we are going to take an expert opinion and we're going to set that aside if it doesn't conform to our own beliefs, right? That's confirmation bias. This guy doesn't agree with me, and I don't care what his qualifications are. Here, I'm going to find the science that agrees with me, and this person is an expert in his field. And I think one of the most important things that he's saying is that when you look at the numbers, the number of infected, you're looking at close to 600,000 cases in Stockholm. They have not overwhelmed their system. That's an important thing to keep in mind. If you're looking at 27% of the population of Stockholm, you're looking at about 600,000 cases, or close to it, a little under that. That means the fatality rate and very importantly, the hospitalization rates are very low. But take a look at the next clip.
More than 2,400 people have died here. Vastly greater numbers than neighbouring countries, which imposed much tougher restrictions.
That's accurate, but it doesn't tell the whole story. This is where we get twisted. When we talk about Sweden's doing a good job, the first thing people point at is, yeah, but look how many deaths they've had. Yeah, that's accurate, but listen to what this journalist, he's in an interview with CNN later in this same segment. He has this to say.
So when your report says that they lost more people, that is true today. In the long run, you got this experiment is still to be judged. You really got to look out 6 months and a year where they compare to their neighbors.
And so that's a rational response, okay? Sweden's transmission rate and their death toll are not going to spike in the fall like their neighbors will. You won't know for a year whether or not this has been a good choice on Sweden's part, but their infection rate is significantly higher, so there's going to be a significantly larger percentage of their population that has immunity going into the fall when flu season hits, when this virus will most likely come back with more of a vengeance. Sweden's going to be in a position where they have a lot more people with immunity, and you would expect that their spike, even if they have one, just like seasonal flu, if they have that spike in the fall, it's going to hit their neighbors harder than it's going to hit them. And we won't know that until the fall. This journalist says it perfectly. We won't know until a year, but it's unfair to point at their numbers today and say, see, they made a bad decision. And it goes back to the fact that this is going to continue to spread. So the bottom line is, if your odds are, if you're not in a high-risk group of dying, this doesn't warrant hysteria. And the idea that people who want the economy back don't care about people is not accurate. We have to look at, like I said, we're going to look at risk mitigation from a perspective of economic impact versus the actual risk. And I think that we have not properly assessed, or we're not being given the right information regarding risk. This is not life or death for every single person who leaves their home. Most people are going to be fine. Most people are going to be asymptomatic, as a matter of fact, and I even realized that they had it and got over it. We're seeing those same numbers as antibody tests start becoming more available in this country. Started with the Stanford study. It's being confirmed in LA. It's being confirmed in Miami-Dade. It's being confirmed in New York that the spread of this is actually much greater than we thought. And there's a huge number of people who've been exposed that we didn't realize it, and they were actually asymptomatic. So we have to look at the risk properly, and we have to look at those numbers, and we have to take that into consideration when we're making major decisions about our economic future in this country as well. So as usual, we've spent way too much time on COVID-19, but I also do want to quickly discuss Joe Biden and his declaration of innocence. I think it was obviously expected. I don't think there was anything surprising in it. My issue with this particular case is that Tara Reade's mother's call to the Larry King show is very much in the timeline of Tara Reade's statement. It's not enough to be considered a smoking gun. It's not enough to be evidence, but it's certainly something significant coming from the victim's mother right in the timeline and right in line with the accusation. So there's that. There is the fact that there are outcry witnesses, apparently a brother and I believe a close friend, can corroborate her story dating back to that period. That's something that was kind of missing in the Brett Kavanaugh case, is corroborating witnesses and outcry witnesses. That does exist here. And there's an apparent lack of political motivation here, as Ms. Reade was a staffer for Joe Biden. One would think that politically she would align with him, and so there isn't that conflict of political motivation that we had during the Kavanaugh hearings. So if you're the DNC, you absolutely need to conduct a full and open investigation and proceed much in the same way that you did against Brett Kavanaugh. This is a man who is powerful, who is seeking more power, who is seeking the highest office, and needs to be an open and honest investigation. It needs to be carried out in front of the American people. You can't, and like I said, both the Republicans and the Democrats, you better work really hard at not looking hypocritical here. You better both do the right thing. The Republicans need to remember that due process is still a thing, and that Senator Biden, or Joe Biden, is in fact innocent until he is proven guilty. And at the same time, the Democrats need to stand by their value of I believe her, and the Me Too movement, and say, look, this is a witness. She's telling us, or this is a woman who's telling us something terrible happened to her at the hands of a powerful man, and we are not going to just push this aside. We are going to take this investigation very seriously. And I think Nancy Pelosi needs to start walking back the fact that she is just voicing outright support for Joe Biden before any kind of real investigation has taken place. So I did want to hit on that. I know I hit it on yesterday's video as well, but in lieu of him making the statement this morning, or due to him making the statement this morning, I thought I would just address it one more time. So again, thank you all for coming by. I really appreciate it. I am hoping that you will hit that subscribe button, and I'm hoping that my laptop upgrade here allows me to put out more content, more videos. I'd like to get back to being able to do a video on a daily basis. So this will be my first attempt to edit and upload on the new machine, and if it is significantly faster than the old one was, I will be able to start putting out videos at a much faster pace. So please subscribe and hit that notification so you can see when those new videos are going up. And as always, thank you very much for being here, and we will see you next time.